Hi, so I was granted access to the new Elvis film, and is it on par or worse than the Queen biopic? Well, let's go see with my review. So the Elvis film is basically a biopic of Elvis' life, with the added complication of the complex relationship between Elvis and his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, and the slow deterioration of the relationship at the end of the film being told. But for me personally, it's not the biopic in the biopic format, it's more told from a third perspective by this manager about Elvis' life and experiences, more or less I can say. So that was a bit odd for me first of all. So that's the long and short of the story they told in this film. Secondly, the casting was for me perfect. Austin Butler as Elvis works for me. I believe him as the king of rock, and he comes through as very genuine. It's not a fake imitation or a lapse thereof. It really does feel like it's Elvis you're seeing on the big screen. Also, it was quite interesting for me to see with all Elvis mannerisms and way of speaking how they're gonna handle it, because the biopic is always more dramatic, and it can easily become like a lame imitation or being comedic when you're trying to be dramatic. So it was quite interesting to see, and I must say more times than none they actually succeeded in subtly introducing that oh yeah mama type of scenes or dialects in the movie that is not overtaken or pulls you out of the movie, but just subtly introduced to make him more of the character we think of as if we think of Elvis. So that was quite good to see. Secondly, Tom Hanks was also perfect in the role. I like that they hide his persona and his Tom Hanks of it all behind the fat suit and makeup, and his dialect also he chose for this character, so that it's not the most prominent Tom Hanks, because for people like me who grew up with Tom Hanks films, it's so easy to see him as the good guy and as Tom Hanks and not think of, oh wait, he's actually telling a character from history. So that was quite, for me, good to see. The third character also making here an appearance, a very brief appearance, is Dacre Montgomery, which we all should know from Stranger Things Season 2, who played Billy, or we all better known as Max's brother. Also has here a few scenes with Elvis, which was quite nice to see, because if we are thinking of Elvis biopic, we would have assumed that they would maybe put in more prominent characters which Elvis may have met or moved in the same circles in, but strangely they went away from that version, and rather just the relationship between Elvis and his manager, with the manager overshadowing most of it, unfortunately for me. But yeah, that's the overview of this film. But for me, when it comes to scoring this film, I have to say sadly, it's going to be a 9 out of 20 for me. The main reason I'm going to tell you now why is, he was very generic. I'm very sorry. It was very plug and play. You could have put any popular singer or legendary icon in the script and it would have worked the same, leaving especially me after at the end with a meh, okay, that was a film. It didn't leave me with knowing more about him or anything else, which I thought was quite a somber experience to have, seeing as most of the press and everybody hyped it up as being the next Queen, winning awards and getting being an Oscar contender, which I think, do not put your money on it. So with that all, and having also, I did temper my expectations just a bit. So when I first kick off with the manager, I thought, okay, why is this guy important? Which I know in the background he made moves and helped Elvis' career, but I wouldn't think of starting an Elvis biopic with the manager. I would have thought it would be more of Elvis he's come up to stardom, controlling the demons he has to face and stuff like that. But leading with the manager was quite odd for me. So it was very generic. It felt like a Spark Notes Wikipedia entry type of film, where they just use snippets of Elvis's life and just abbreviated it just to get us to the story they wanted to tell, which was once again the relationship between the manager and Elvis, which I think is okay, sure, whatever. So that was the main reason. The only saving grace for the film was at the near end, where they actually had an interesting story they could have told, which at the end of the film we started to realize that Elvis is basically a captive of Colonel Tom Parker, his manager, to perform almost like party tricks, like a clown for him, with him being broken and teared down and being not hopeful anymore of his career. Which I think that would have, if you, instead of having that one scene with him and Priscilla in a car on the tarmac waiting for him to take off to his next venue, I think if you stretch that out for 45 minutes or even 30 minutes, that would have been way more of an introspective look into Elvis and how broken or what his thought process was during that experience. Would have been much more entertaining and insightful than the movie we got, unfortunately. So the movie the whole time it's then it's juggling fine, then it's dropping balls, which I wish they picked up and carried on. So it was a constant hit and miss. It felt like a roller coaster going through you. Then it was up, then it was down. So that was the main reason, the genericness, and they didn't expect the final. Almost I would say arc of Elvis. They could have broadened that more to get a more insightful view of Elvis, which would be more insightful for me personally as an Elvis fan. So that was the one thing that irked me. The other thing that was good was I liked the visual transitions and effects they did. It works with the film. It was quite good, and especially if we kicked off with the manager having a heart attack and being in this dream state, it quite worked efficiently from transitioning from the dream state to him meeting back up with Elvis and continuing their quote unquote relationship. So on one end that was good, but then on the other end, the background music they chose for one scene pulled me way out of the film, which I don't know why they chose it. I don't know if they think it would be been happening, but I know in one scene after Elvis has the fight with his mother, he drives in town to a small bar where B.B. King is performing and stopping a block away, walking, and on his way walking, he's get bombarded by people asking for his autographs and stuff like that, and they play, just for that short moment, they playing a hip modern music interpretation of Elvis's music, I could say. Which, why would you do that? I don't understand. You could rather use acoustic version of one of Elvis' songs in that small walk from his car to the bar he's going to meet up with B.B. King, which I think was a weird choice. So it was the constant. So for me, overall, it was very a meh film. There was nothing that I think like, oh, I didn't know about that, or oh, now I know more about Elvis as a person. We just felt more of the polished, abbreviated version of Elvis, which is quite sad to see, I have to say. So that was the film for me. If you would say Elvis or Queen, which would you rather have me watch? I would say Queen anytime. More entertaining, more fun, more introspective of Freddie Mercury. And yeah, Elvis is meh. But let me know in the comments below, what did you think of the film? In the comments down below, like, subscribe, do all that fancy stuff. And until next time, cheers.